Hello and welcome to episode 192 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is the writer and film director Andrew Dominik. You'll know Andrew's work for producing one of the best films for me while growing up. At uni, I had the poster on the wall and I absolutely love Eric Bana's performance from start to finish. Yes, we get to talk all about Chopper. Not only that, one of the best westerns out there, The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. One of the best performances you'll ever see from Brad Pitt in that film, and Sam Rockwell. It's an absolute masterpiece. We also get to talk about One More Time with Feeling. Yes, an absolutely amazing documentary that follows the incredible mind of Nick Cave. And also we get to talk about what it was like to direct along the mastermind himself, David Fincher, on the amazing TV series Mindhunter, and so much more. So stick around because that'll be coming up in just a couple of minutes time. But in true typical Mark and Me fashion, I always like to use the intro of every episode to touch base and talk about the last episode. On episode 191, I was joined by the amazing director Blurta Pasholi. We got to sit down and talk all about her debut film Hive. I just want to say a massive thank you for Blurta for sharing it across all the social media networks and everyone that took the time to listen at home. It was a great response and thanks so much to everyone that listened. But today is a big episode. Andrew Dominik, an amazing director, an amazing writer, an amazing interview. I won't lie, this interview takes a while to get warmed up. It wasn't my easiest, but I like to be challenged, and by the end I am having the best time of my life. And that's what I like to do. It can't always be easy from the moment you start talking. So I think the best thing to do is to get straight to it. So here's me and Andrew talking all things film. So Andrew, thanks for joining me today on the Mark and Me podcast.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
What I want to do today is take it right back to your early days, maybe when you were growing up. I want to know, what were the first films that you fell in love with that made you kind of fall in love with cinema?
The first movie I ever saw was Planet of the Apes.
Nice.
First movie I ever saw was, it had flying monkeys in it. It was The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, okay.
You know, when I was a little kid seeing that in a big movie theatre, and boy, that was like, the apes were scary. And then I was into Planet of the Apes later. I loved Planet of the Apes. You know, when I was like 9 or 7 or whatever I was. What else did I like? Star Wars, obviously, came out. And then, you know, when I hit my early teens, I discovered like Kurosawa and Ingmar Bergman. So there was a whole like, oh, okay, there's a whole another side of films that are good, you know. And then, I don't know, Raging Bull. Raging Bull was the one that was just like, I remember seeing Apocalypse Now when I was like 14 and just thinking, wow, it's so deep, you know.
Is that the point in your life when you remember seeing this and thinking, I want to know how this is all done? I want to be behind the camera and see how they made this happen?
No, I mean, I started making films when I was very young. Like, I wanted to be a filmmaker from when I was 11, you know, and I started out making animation, like plasticine animation, like I think a lot of people do, you know, because it's just you and a camera. But no, I wanted to be a filmmaker from when I was a child, and I don't know why. It just seemed like I was fascinated by it, you know.
So when did it become a reality? Because everyone has these dreams when they're growing up of either becoming famous, either a sportsman or a musician or a film star. At what point was it that you really thought to yourself, this could be more than just a dream?
Well, I went straight from high school to film school.
Yeah.
So I started at the top. I've never had any other job but directing. I made short films at film school. You know, I was like, I don't know, 17 or 18 or whatever I was when I went to film school. 18 probably. And then when I left film school, I was making music videos and stuff like that. So I was, you know, lucky, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
And did you have the full backing from your family and support from your friends, or were they all kind of thinking this is a risk?
God, no. God, no. But, you know, like, I had such a bad relationship with my family that it didn't even matter what they thought about anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wasn't like one of these, you know, people coming from a kind of conservative background where they wanted you to get a real job and, you know, they barely noticed me, mate. So, you know, I had a certain freedom, and I never considered doing anything else. I mean, if I hadn't gotten into film school, I guess I would have had to, like, I probably would have tried to become a fine artist or something like that. I don't know what I would have done, mate.
But were you not giving it the second thought? Were you kind of just thinking to yourself, I'm so determined, all I'm going to do is be a fucking director, and that's all I'm going to do. Like, there's no option. I'm not going to go and work in a shop. I'm not going to be a barman. I'm going to do this.
No, I mean, I never did that. I mean, I had 2 jobs when I was growing up. I worked in an usher in the cinema for one night.
What night?
Well, because I realised I was going to have to keep watching Crocodile Dundee too.
Yeah, there's only so many times you can watch that.
Dude, once was enough, right? So I quit. Then I had a job demolishing a house, right, as a cartage contractor, where you demolish a house, right? That takes half a day, and it was really fun. And then in the next week, you cart the whole thing off.
Yeah.
And that was like, yeah, I'm not doing this shit, mate.
So you started out doing music videos as well, didn't you? One of your most famous works was for Crowded House. Now, was that giving you a taste of how you could direct and try different things, then to pull it all together and compose something together? Yeah.
I mean, they were really fun. You just tried ideas. You know what I mean? Crazy ideas.
It seems like a lost art now, doesn't it, a music video? I remember really good music videos from bands like Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins and Green Day and all this, and now it just seems no one really wants to make these short films into music videos anymore. It just kind of seems just film the band, and there's kind of been a bit of a lost art to the music video now.
I don't know. I saw a good one for FKA Twig's Sad Day or whatever it's called, where she gets cut in half with a samurai sword.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love Doja Cat videos, but that's because I love Doja Cat.
Yeah.
But actually, my favourite music videos are actually the ones that are just the band.
You like that?
Fuck yeah, mate. If it's a good band, you know what I mean? Like if the singer can like do something for you,
put on a show,
just make you feel something.
And obviously, at the moment, you're promoting Chopper, and it'd be criminal not to mention this film, but you must still look back. You must look back 20 years later and still be so proud of this piece of work, because it's an iconic masterpiece that even now, that performance from Eric Bana stays with me forever.
Oh, well, you're being very sweet.
I truly mean it. It's a film I watched at university 20 years ago, and it's genuinely a masterpiece. It's fucking incredible. There's a reason why it's got that cult status, and people still go back and watch it.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, look, I'm glad you like it, mate. I thought it was good at the time. It was my first film. It worked out well. You know, I mean, a lot went into it. You know what I mean? Like, it took 7 years from when we got the rights to when the film was shot. So I spent a lot of time thinking about him and a lot of time working on what the film should be. And it became its own thing, you know. It became its own animal, and maybe that's the reason why it stood the test of time, because it's an unusual film.
It is,
you know, and it's based on an attempt to really understand reality, you know, the reality of a person's situation, you know, emotionally speaking.
And being behind that camera and directing Eric Bana, like, can you? It must be really difficult because it's you, but I couldn't even imagine being inside your head for those moments, seeing that performance, seeing how hardcore he is and how fucked up he is. It's a performance that I've never seen him ever do anything like it ever since.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing about Eric is, and I actually think most great performances that actors do are based on someone they know. You know what I mean? Whether it's someone we know they know, or whether it's their aunt or their uncle or somebody that they get a sense of like who that person could be, and by the fact of becoming somebody else, it gives them a kind of freedom which they don't have in the same way if they're playing themselves, you know, which some actors do, you know. I mean, everyone does. I mean, it's always an aspect of you somehow, and I think Eric's very good at that. I don't know if he's done so much of that in his latter career. You know what I mean? I don't think he's necessarily sought people out and sort of based himself on someone else. I think he's just acted, you know.
After that film was wrapped up and it was all done, what was the kind of biggest learning curve you took then with you to your next project? Because that's a hell of a big debut for yourself, isn't it? That, you know, leaves a stand out there. You must have felt pressure then, like, how am I going to top this? What am I going to do next? It kind of ups my game.
Well, I feel like I did, because I felt Jesse James Pretty good.
It's fucking brilliant. Brad Pitt in that film is amazing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Casey. Everyone, mate.
Everyone.
Sam Rockwell in that movie.
I've met Sam Rockwell, and he's just a fucking legend. I didn't realise how short he was, but he's just the nicest guy I've ever met.
Yeah, and he got to play a nice guy. In Jesse
which is
James.
good.
And it's so heartbreaking, like an innocent caught up in an assassination between two people he loves. And I don't know. Sammy always wants to play the cheater, like Travis Bickle. Like we'd sit around and talk about what animal is your character, and Sammy would say, "I'm a cheater."
and being presented on set, you're sitting there working with these incredible names. Brad Pitt, look, he's an absolute legend for a reason. Did it feel intimidating, or were you just revved up, ready to go? Did you feel confident? Did you know what you were going to do?
Well, I always knew how the scene should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and actors are just actors in the end. Like when Brad Pitt is in front of the camera, he's vulnerable, mate. Do you know what I mean? And he wants someone who's watching him. He wants someone who's paying attention. That's what they all want. And as soon as they feel like that you're actually seeing what they're doing, and you're actually able to discern the differences in what they're doing, they very much become collaborative, and they love you. I didn't have a whole lot of trouble. They're just actors, mate.
It's just difficult because on the outside you see these people as such a larger-than-life person. He's done some incredible roles like Tyler Durden and all these roles. You think to yourself, I couldn't imagine, are they untouchable? I couldn't imagine telling them to do something differently or do it a different way because I've so much respect for these people,
Well, it's not Brad Pitt I want, it's Jesse James.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's about who Jesse James is. I mean, the first time I met Brad, it's sort of like going on a date with a girl, you're nervous, and he definitely had an aura. He had a kind of force field, which is just his. It's either his or it's sort of like the collective unconscious is projecting it at him. It's hard to work out what's what, but it takes a long time. It took a while for me to get beyond the Brad Pittness of it all, but you do,
How do you break that wall down? Because, like you said, they come with this
status.
It's
just you. It's just no. You just got to get used to it, mate.
You just allow yourself to be yourself and let that be enough that they can see you're genuine and that you are the person you say you are and you're not, changing.
I just don't think about it, mate. I mean, you don't think about it too much. I mean, the thing is, you're talking about work.
Yeah.
You talk about a film. It's not like we're getting married or anything like that, or you know what I mean. It's not about being friends. It's about we're going to work together, and this is what it's got to be, kind of thing, or this is what we're trying to do, kind of thing. And it's working out what they've got that works for the part. And with Brad, I could quickly feel that he's got a kind of congenital sadness, about him. It's a sort of deep and ancient feeling. Like whenever it gets quiet, you can feel the sorrow, And I thought, Jesse James is depressive.
Yeah.
And it was just about sort of getting him there,
And then when you switch that to doing work on TV, so stuff like Mindhunter, which I thought was a great series, I think it was one of those series I was glued to, and I was glad I could watch it and binge it all in one go. Getting involved in that, how's that as a change for you? Do you just treat it like a short film? Is that how you look at it instead of, switching it to TV, or was it a completely different dynamic to work with?
Well, I did it for the same reason that you like it. Do you know what I mean? Like I loved it. I loved the first season, and I knew David a little bit because, David's like Brad's director wife. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like Brad's director girlfriend on the side. I'm like his side piece director. But David's the main one. And so I know David through Brad, and I really like David, and I'm a big fan. And I just wanted to do it because I love the show, and it's very weird. It's like when you go there and you're walking on the sets, it's like you're walking around inside your iPad.
I love the way you summarize that.
It's like walking around inside your TV. It's really fucking weird.
Yeah.
Working on a show you love and seeing how the sausage is made, and then, see your fingerprints all over the sausage, it kind of makes the sausage less good for you. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not sure I'm going to do it again. I think I would have enjoyed Mindhunter more if I hadn't directed 2 episodes in the second season. You know what I mean? But it was a learning curve because it's basically seeing somebody else's process. You know.
Yeah.
I was curious to go to see. I mean, I've watched Terry Malick work, and that was amazing. And I've watched David work, and they're about like complete polar opposites. You know, in terms of, you know, David's theory is hope is not a strategy. David's got everything covered, mate. I mean, that guy is amazing. He's an extraordinary human being.
He blows my mind. He's on another level. When I watch his work, I can't get my head around it sometimes. I'm like, how do you do it?
David, you know, if you need to know who's the best sound recordist, if you need to know who's the best plumber, you know what I mean? I mean, David probably knows the best dentist. And you know, he'll tell you who the person is and what buttons to push.
Yeah.
What's the best way to deal with them? He's unbelievable, dude. And you watch him set up a shoot, you know, like a night shoot. You just watch him run through how the day's going to work. I mean, he's on everything. Like, where are they going to put the porta potties? You know, like, unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable.
It must be incredible to watch him. Yeah, you must be learning so much just watching him.
Well, the thing about David, though, is he gets bored because nothing he does surprises him, you know, because it's all worked out before he gets there. And the amount of times he just looks over at you, like when he's shooting something, and just rolls his eyes like, fuck, this is boring. And I don't think that's a good situation to get into as a filmmaker. But I don't know, dude. It's a whole different way of doing things, you know. It's a whole different way. And it works, you know. It works. And it's all about workflow. And he's got his workflow down like you would not believe, you know. David will shoot a scene. He's got a good cut of it within 24 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned how to use the continuity person, you know, like the script girl. The way Dave does it is incredible. You know, that person is really working for him. Where I was just ignored them and realised how much they could help me, you know.
So that's good. You utilise them moving forward, and that's obviously gained quite a lot for you.
No, you learn all kinds of things.
Yeah.
You learn all kinds of things, you know.
Another piece of work that I'm really impressed with is your documentary with Nick Cave, Once More with Feeling. And he's an incredible songwriter, performer, musician. But how did it kind of come about? Because obviously there's so many artists out there. What was it about Nick Cave that got you involved in this that, you know, made you want to capture all this material and put it all together and work with someone who's so established?
Well, you know, I've known Nick for like a long time.
Yeah.
I met Nick when I met Nick in '86, probably.
Wow.
We were in love with the same girl. We both went out with her. And that's how I know him primarily. He was my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend.
That's amazing.
Who wrote the record, you know, that was about her that came out like when I started going out with her. He used to call up looking for her, and he and I would start talking on the phone, and we sort of got along on the phone, you know. So, and I'm a fan, like a huge fan. I mean, I think Nick's one of the great songwriters one of the great songwriters. Certainly he has been in my life. So, you know, we worked together a little bit, and then when Arthur died, Nick asked me to make a film because he didn't want to have to do press to promote the record that he was trying to finish. I mean, he was not in a good way. He was a mess, and I wanted to help, you know, just on a basic sort of human level. So I said yes, you know, and it was incredible experience because it was the first time I've made a film where the film just didn't even fucking count. I mean, it was the secondary thing that was happening. The first thing was them trying to finish the record. That was the main creative endeavor that was going on. And I was just like a fly on the wall in 3D, you know, in the corner that was sort of irritating even, you know. And I knew, and I had no way to plan what I was doing. We just like winged it for 10 days, you know. And I just had to develop shit based on instinct, you know. So I didn't even know if it was going to work. And then it worked great. And that's the thing, like David Fincher doesn't get to do that. You know, like I kept saying to David, you've got to like put yourself in a situation where you don't know what you're doing, you know, because it's another way of doing it, you know, and it was exhilarating. I mean, I come from the same idea of like, let's storyboard everything. Let's not leave anything to chance, you know, let's be in complete control of what we're doing here, you know, and then you find yourself in a situation where you have no control and all you're doing is trying to capture what's going on, or you're creating situations where something can happen on the fly that you can capture, you know, and that was exhilarating, you know. And I did that just before that was the last thing I did before Mindhunter. So in a way, Mindhunter was like returning to a way of working, you know. But I think that, I mean, I think the thing about filmmaking is the thing to do is to keep trying different ways of doing it, you know, to try and do different things and to try and do it differently, you know, so you can learn, you can discover things, you know, about it, about what it is, you know, what filmmaking can be. Otherwise, you're just going to get real bored, you know.
I think people should be out of their comfort zone as well and challenge themselves. You said, David, you know, he likes to be, everything's already lined up, everything can go well. He looks at you and rolls his eyes because he's kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit.
I know,
he's
but
in the middle of the second season of you know, Mindhunter, which he's already done one season. But, you know, like the guy is obviously trying different shit all the time. It's just, I think so much of what we do is just an extension of who we are, you know, you know, how we're built psychologically, or what, you know, what circumstances make us feel safe. I mean, I think the thing about filmmaking is it's scary. There's a lot of money on the line, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, David's a real filmmaker. He makes films that people want to see. You know, I'm like a fringe character that is lucky to even get to make another movie, you know, because the movies are so fucking weird, you know.
So on that, what's coming up for you next? What's kind of the next couple of years looking like? If you go on IMDb, it says stuff like, I think there's something on there, I think Blonde or something. It doesn't have much information or details, but what have you kind of got in your head for the next couple of years?
When does Chopper come out again? Like May 25th?
Yeah.
No,
March
25th?
Yeah.
Is that when it is? Okay, then there's another Nick Cave documentary that I've done, which is sort of like 5 years later. What has he learned? Concept film. That's coming out on May 11. And then later in the year, Blonde is coming out, which is my Marilyn Monroe movie that I've been trying to make for 14 years.
Wow.
And it's a knockout.
A busy year ahead then, mate.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe.
Maybe. You've got 3 releases coming out in less than 9 months.
Yeah, no, it's not normal for me. But you know, we'll see how they do when they come out, eh?
Nick Cave, man, you've got to give him my details. I want him on the podcast. I want to get into that head of his.
He does? Yeah, it's not going to happen.
I know, he doesn't do anything, does he?
He doesn't do interviews. Well, he's done. He's just written a book called Faith, Hope and Carnage, which is basically a series of interviews that he did with Sean O'Hagan from. Is he from The Guardian? Sean O'Hagan
rings a bell.
I don't know. He's a journalist, but in COVID they started. Sean O'Hagan started interviewing him, and it went on and on and on and on and on. And it's a book, which I'm sure will give you some sort of, you know, insight into the inside of Nick's head. Or you can just read the Red Hand Files, mate.
There you go. So what I do on this podcast, dude, is I ask whoever it is, it can be an actor, director, musician, they get to choose the final piece of music that's played on the podcast. So each and every episode, the guest chooses the outro music. So after today's interview is all edited, wrapped up and released, what would you love, and what's the song that means a lot to you that we put on the end that celebrates this episode between me and you?
Ooh, that's okay. Gloomy Sunday by Diamante Gallo.
Well,
That
I've
one.
never heard it, so I'm looking forward to this one.
You know Dear Monday?
Yes, but I've not heard that track.
It's Gloomy Sunday, dude. It's got to be. I think it's live. It's on a record called Live One, right? Yeah, have a look. Amazing, dude. Amazing.
I love it when people come on and give me a song I've never heard, because then I can go and listen to everything and be like, oh, fucking hell.
Well, it's just this one song. That's all I'm recommending at this point.
I will give it a go. I've gone over. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on.
No worries.
It's been a pleasure, and
Okay.
good luck with the rest of the press, dude.
Okay.
Take care, man.
All right, mate. Bye.
Have a good day. So there it is. There's my interview with me and the director, Andrew Dominik. It was such a pleasure to sit down and talk about one of my favourite films, Chopper. And if you're listening to this right now and you've never seen the film, please do everything you can to see it. It is being re-released for its anniversary, and you need to see it on the big screen, or Blu-ray, or 4K, or DVD, or however you can see it. It's one of Eric Bana's finest ever performances, and it's just an absolute masterpiece from start to finish. That, as I said at the start, wasn't my easiest interview. And do you know what? I'm not going to hide behind and say, oh yeah, it was fine. It took a long time to get warmed up. It took a long time to kind of earn each other's trust. But by about 10-15 minutes into the interview, it felt normal and like a traditional Mark and Me episode. And that's what is a real reward. Sometimes you get guests that you can just hit it off with straight away. Sometimes it takes a while to warm up or someone to lower their guard. But hey, the result there was brilliant in the end. I want to say a massive thank you for Andrew for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to have you on, and hopefully we can meet again and talk in more detail in the very near future. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please go on markandme.com. On my website I have links to my Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. All I ask that after you've listened to this episode, which will be free and will always remain free, is to share it. Hit on that Facebook button and just hit share. Go onto Twitter and hit retweet. Go onto Instagram and post it on your stories. Honestly, it makes a massive difference, and I see more and more listeners every single week doing it, and my numbers go up and up. It's a free marketing tool, and it's a huge, huge help. So if you enjoyed today's episode, go on, hit that retweet button or share. It makes a massive difference. And if you've really enjoyed today's episode, please go onto my Patreon page. The link is on markandme.com. For as little as 99p, that's all I ask, a month, you're guaranteed a minimum of 8 episodes. Starting in April, you're also going to get a guaranteed 1 episode per month, which is exclusive to Patrons, which the general public won't have access to. You get a badge when you sign up, you get a welcome letter, you get updates before anybody else, and so much more. And thanks to the amazing guys at Richer Sounds, they give me amazing prizes every single month for saying thank you for supporting me. This month I have a Sonos soundbar, which is absolutely unbelievable, and each and every month the prizes will get bigger and better, so a massive thanks to those guys for supporting me and helping me along the way. I'll be back in only a few days' time with a brand new episode, so until then, please look after yourself, take care, and I'll speak to you all very soon.
This next song was sung by Billie Holiday, called Gloomy Sunday. When she first recorded it on the radio, there was a protest from the record company because it was too pessimistic and depressing. Therefore, they had her change the ending to make it more optimistic and hopeful. And at that moment was born the first pop music. I don't do it that way, of course. sadly, one Sunday I waited and waited with flowers in my arms for the dream I'd created. I waited till dreams like my heart were all broken. The flowers were all dead, and the words were unspoken. The grief that I knew was beyond all consoling. The beat of my heart was a bell that was tolling. Saddest of a Sunday, then came a Sunday when you came to find me. They brought me to church and I left you behind me. My eyes could not see one I wanted to love me. There and the flowers were forever above me. The bell tolled for me, and the wind whispered never. But you I have loved, and I love you forever. Last of all the Sundays,